This is Just Nigeria. Coming up.
So as far as I'm concerned, what this bill seeks to do is clearly to stifle the right of Nigerians to express themselves.
How can it be war on free speech? If there is no free speech, will I be where I am today? I will not be. But there should be free speech whereby I will tell you and disseminate what is true.
Curbing fake news or free speech, we dissect the controversial social media bill. And crowd farming, new and trendy ways of investing in South Africa's agricultural sector. Plus,
my name is Sala Sedekunle. I'm a robotics engineer, a robotics entrepreneur. Check me out.
The robotics engineer and entrepreneur popular for creating the world's first intelligent gaming robots. Welcome again to Just Nigeria, brought to you by the BBC and Channels TV. And here on the show, we bring you the stories being talked about by the social media generation. I am Wale Fakilem. We'll kick off today's show with something that's been quite controversial. Now, for the second time in a decade, the Senate has proposed a bill to regulate social media in Nigeria. It has now passed second reading and Nigerians are protesting against it. In this explainer, Just Nigeria's Ajoke Ulose takes a look at some of its contents.
Last month, the Internet Falsehood and Manipulation Bill scaled second reading in the Senate. So what is the Internet Falsehood and Manipulation Bill, and what does it mean for Nigerians? The bill aims to prevent transmission of false statements and enable measures to counter the effect of such transmission. It also stipulates sanctions for offenders. So who are the likely offenders? A person who transmits false statements of fact likely to be prejudicial to the security of Nigeria or to the public health, safety, tranquility and finance of the country is an offender. And if you incite feeling of enmity, hatred directed to a person, or ill will between different groups, you are an offender. Also, a person who diminishes public confidence in the performance of any duty or in the exercise of any power by the government has committed an offense and shall be liable for conviction. So, what punishment does this bill stipulate for the offender? An individual can be fined a maximum of 300,000 naira and may also face imprisonment for up to 3 years. Corporate organizations may be fined up to but not exceeding 10 million naira. But that's not all. For providing services for transmission of false statements of fact in Nigeria, you are also liable. So, why are Nigerians worried about this bill? Beyond talks about fines and jail terms, the bill stipulates in Section 12, Access Blocking Order, that the law enforcement agent may direct the NCC to order Internet service provider to take reasonable steps to disable access by end users in Nigeria to the online location. Now, failure to comply with any access blocking order, an Internet service provider shall be guilty of an offense and shall be liable on conviction to a daily fine of not exceeding 10 million naira, but up to 5 million naira. However, if the ISP complies, they incur no civil or criminal liability. In essence, your internet service providers, after receiving an access blocking order, are mandated to shut down your access to any defaulting online location. But this is not the first time a social media bill is generating public outrage. In 2015, Senator Bala Ibinala sponsored the Frivolous Petition and Other Related Matters Bill. It proposed a 2-year jail term or a fine of $10,000 for anyone convicted for posting an abusive statement via Twitter, WhatsApp, or on any other form of social media. The bill didn't make it past the second reading. Now that a similar bill has been reintroduced just years later, Nigerians are determined to see that it suffers the same fate as its precursor. For days, Twitter has been agog with the hashtag "Say No to Social Media Bill." On the 27th of November, some young people staged a peaceful protest to the National Assembly and state assemblies to register their displeasure. But would the Ninth Senate bow to pressure and toe the line of its predecessor, desisting from the regulation of social media? Then, what becomes of the battle against fake news? And how free would free speech be if this bill becomes law?
interesting questions raised there. To get a better understanding of the reasons for this bill, Ajoke also had a chat with the sponsor of the Internet Falsehood and Manipulation Bill, Senator Mohammed Sani Musa. Have a listen.
So would you say that this is a war on fake news or a war on free speech?
How can it be war on free speech? If there is no free speech, will I be where I am today? I will not be. But there should be free speech whereby I will tell you and disseminate what is true. Why would I want to give you a fake information, a fake news, and then cause disharmony? Police cannot just wake up and go to an intermediary and say, shut down. There is a process. And what process do we have in Nigeria? The court of laws.
The bill didn't particularly specify what a false statement of fact is, or who identifies what a false statement of fact is.
A false statement of fact can only originate from you that feel abused. And it's not meant that to say in government will say, oh, you have done something wrong. No, it is I that suffered from what you have posted. And I have to go and prove that I have suffered it.
There's also a part talking about government action or duty.
When we are talking about government action, in every civilized society, the government functions are to protect lives and properties. What is the reason why we have government? To govern well. You as an indigent, as a citizen of this country, you found out that the government is not doing something correctly, and somebody is there sitting on that seat and he's not doing the right thing or is disseminating false information of what is not right. You have every right to use this legislation to charge that person.
For instance, if you don't get adequate, infrastructure,
how do you manipulate to saying there's no adequate infrastructure and making it a point of social media to saying that
if the roads to your area is bad, and you go on social media and you write about it and say government has not fixed the roads.
Excuse me. If you come to my area and the road is not good, you complain there's no road, there's no good road, what stops you from complaining? It's
on
your
social
right.
media?
It's your right.
Okay, so nobody will take you to court for that?
Why should they take you to court? It's your right to complain. Excuse me. It's your right to complain. But a situation where me as a public officer will go and take an express road that is started from another place and come and show it in the picture that this is the road I have done in my constituency, knowing fully that I have not done it. I did not do it. I knew I have not done it. I knew that I am disseminating wrong information over there. What stops you as a good citizen to take me to court and use this legislation?
Are you saying that Nigerians are free to sue government officials under this bill?
Why won't you? Why won't you if you suffered anything from it? You know what is fake news. You know what is disinformation. You know what is misinformation. You know the difference between the two. Mine is not to disinform people. My bill is not for disinformation. My bill is for misinformation.
What is your word to Nigerians?
My words to Nigerians is to please find a copy of this legislation, go through it, there will be a public hearing, and everybody that believed in it or don't believe in it, come and express your own. The reason for the bill is a proposal. If Nigerians felt today that this bill is not good enough for them, and the total number of people that are against it are more than the number of people for it, why not? I'm a Nigerian. I have listening ears. I will listen and I will do the amend.
So that's what Senator Sani Musa, the sponsor of the bill, thinks. But does the bill have any implication on freedom of speech? Ajaka also spoke to Inibe Efyong, a Lagos-based lawyer.
So what's your interpretation of the Protection from Internet Falsehood and Manipulation Bill 2019?
The bill is an audacious attempt by the political establishment and the government of the day to stifle free speech and to limit the right of Nigerians to express themselves through the social media in particular and the internet generally. The bill lacks details, simplicity, and cohesion. One even finds it very difficult to understand what the intention is.
But let me ask you, in the era of fake news, shouldn't there be some kind of regulations in the social media?
I agree with you that there's a problem of false dissemination of information, not only in Nigeria. It is a global phenomenon. It is something that affects every country. The question is, how do you solve it? You cannot use a problem to solve a problem. what they have done does not address fake news. Because while the intention of the government of the day may be noble, presumably, what is the guarantee that the intention of the next government is going to be the same? So as far as I'm concerned, what this bill seeks to do is clearly to stifle the rights of Nigerians to express themselves.
And what would this mean for government accountability, holding governments to account?
That would be the end of accountability in the country. In fact, if you look at the bill, as I said, is very audacious. What this bill seeks to do, if allowed to stand, Nigerians will not be able to hold the government accountable. Because all that it takes, as I have said, is for somebody in government, the police or whoever, a minister, a commissioner, to say someone has made a publication, someone has posted something on the internet that I find to be false. The police have the right to arrest you, they have the right to issue an order, they have the right to direct that your account should be disabled. You can even be made subject of prosecution under the bill if what you have done is deemed to be against public interest. And the Court of Appeal in Nigeria has already decided that government, public officers, cannot complain of slander. No Nigerian can be prosecuted on account of a statement that he makes against the government. What the aggrieved can do is to sue for libel. We want to go further. We at the level of the human rights community, we are also exploring legal options, several legal options to challenge the constitutionality of this bill. And I am confident that in the long run, this bill will not stand. Because if this bill is allowed to stand, we can as well kiss democracy goodbye in the country.
Deep insights from the lawyer there. Now, if this bill gets passed to law, it would mean self-regulation for social media influencers. But how do they feel about the bill? Just Nigeria's Abayomi Adisa sat down with two of them here in Lagos.
I'm just going to ask you both very quickly. Have you read the bill at all?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so Chidi, tell me, what part of the bill is it that you really, really like?
Like, the foundation of the bill is flawed, so I don't like any part.
What are the parts of the bill that you really don't agree with?
We do not trust our judicial system because basically the bill is not necessarily saying that you can shut down the internet. It doesn't make provision for that. Yes. It's more or less individualizes maybe the share of misinformation, share of fake news, and ensures that people get penalized for it.
The police and the army, they said in 2018 that fake news actually contributed to the crisis in Plateau State because they said the pictures and the videos that went viral on social media were not actually true. And as a matter of fact, they contributed to reprisal attacks where a lot of people died. Don't you think that the social media bill has come to check things like this so that they don't happen anymore, so that when people are tweeting or they are posting stuff online, they are responsible for what they are posting?
If our institutions, the institutions are supposed to spread information, if those institutions are responsible, if those institutions do their job, people will not go to fake news, go to social media to pull up fake news. People will see fake news, for example, or see a picture, for example, and then go to NTA's platform or some other platform that is owned by the government to see it is actually true. But when you go there, you're seeing a professor with pot belly.
I think we're tilting more towards politics and politicians. But then there are people out there whose mental health is actually under attack because of trolls and all of that on social media. Do you guys still think that we should leave the social media space unchecked?
But there are examples of people who have shared fake news that actually went to jail that we're aware of, and there are even some existing court cases. There is that attitude towards, like we were saying earlier, that we're politicizing this and thinking about this is all about politicians trying to be heard and thinking about some other agendas and a lot of conspiracy theories. But we leave out conversation about talking to government to say, well, there are existing laws, and also how are we going to even regulate, again, even the government agencies themselves, because even the government sometimes is guilty of misinformation. So those are some of the things, those balances that we have to even think about.
From your conversation, it seems both of you agree that some influencers actually peddle fake news.
Yes, yes, sure. Yes, they do.
So what do you think we should do as a country to check fake news?
You have a budding tech community. You have people building AIs. We have people building artificial intelligence, people building machine learning platforms and all that. How about you collaborate with them to see how you can effectively tackle fake news instead of just saying ban and block and all that. Zuckerberg was in the country a couple years ago. Talk with him. How do you stop this? How do you stem this? What has worked in other countries? What kind of research are you doing? What kind of funding do you need? How do we work together? How do we work together? That is very, very key.
For both of you, this bill, it's a no-no.
Yes, clearly, yeah.
Thank you so much for speaking with us.
All right, so what's your view on the proposed bill to regulate social media in Nigeria? Let us know on Twitter at GistNigeriaTV. There's more to come here on Gist Nigeria from the BBC and Channels TV. We'll see how South Africans are now investing in cattle, blueberries, and bees using just a smartphone. Stay tuned. Come back to Gist Nigeria, the show for today's social media generation. I am Wale Fakile. Thank you for staying tuned. Coming up, we'll meet the engineer on a mission to see that robotics is included in the African primary and secondary school curriculum. But first, have you ever fancied trying your hand at investing but wanted something a bit different from the usual stocks and shares? Perhaps something a bit more tangible? Well, new opportunities are popping up in South Africa. Using online apps, you can invest directly in cattle, blueberries, solar, or even bees. The BBC's Vuman Nkize has been investigating.
Deep in the Umkomazi River Valley near Ixopo, entrepreneur Ntutugo Shezi inspects his cattle herd. This is one of Livestock Wealth's many farms across the KwaZulu-Natal province. These cows are part of an innovative scheme called crowd farming, which allows investors to put their money into cattle without the hassle of getting their hands dirty.
There's lots of people who want to invest and save for the future and create long-term wealth. But the problem that they find is that the products that are being sold in the markets are all complicated and just laden with too much fees. So we then said, okay, what used to work in the African context from a wealth creation point of view? And the answer came to cows.
Using the Livestock Wealth app, investors buy a pregnant cow or calf. The cows are reared for around 7 months before being sold to abattoirs, and the proceeds of the sale are split between the investor and the company. Livestock Wealth is valued at over $6.5 million, and it already has over 1,000 investors on its books.
I've been trying to diversify, so farming was one of my big things to do, and also in energy, especially with the solar, with the renewables.
Another company that is getting creative with its investment offering is Fed Group. It allows potential investors to buy into a venture called impact farming.
This blueberry bush belongs to an investor who probably bought it using a smartphone sitting in the comfort of their own home or office. Now, Fed Group's tagline is, you buy, we farm, and you earn. But is it really that easy?
Yeah, so you literally go on the app and you say you want to buy 1 or 10 blueberry bushes, whatever it is. Let's say you buy 1 blueberry bush, and the minute that you click checkout, the money comes off your account and you are the proud owner of a blueberry bush. And that blueberry bush is then farmed by a farmer who might be renting land from a separate landowner. So you don't have to have farmer, landowner and blueberry bush owner all being the same person.
If blueberries aren't your thing, how about bees? You buy the hive and split the profits from the honey. Or how about solar panels, an increasingly attractive option as South Africa battles with an energy crisis? And as the experts say, these tangible investments are attractive because people understand them.
We gotta take away that idea that investing is for certain people. And the only way we do that is by getting people to say, where do I want to go with my money? How do I want to see my money in the future?
Whatever your choice of investment, the advent of technology is providing consumers an even greater opportunity to make their money work for them. Vumani Mkize, BBC News, Johannesburg.
Ingenious. Now to other stories. For a sport that is not so common yet in Nigeria, Rachel's dreams of one day being the best female surfer in the country may appear to many as a tall dream. Apart from planning to be the best, she also hopes that more Nigerians take to surfing. BBC Minute's Dan Ikboyi spent time with the surfer.
Surfing has taught me to be very courageous and to be very consistent. I decided to start surfing out of curiosity, actually. If you're someone that is scared a lot, you won't be able to get into the water to even paddle, let alone stand on the board. The challenges I face is that there are not enough surfing shops in Nigeria because I had to order my board all the way from South Africa. I would love surfing to be more popular because aside from it being like a very good way of keeping fit, it's also a fun thing to do. I'm going to be the #1 professional female surfer. That's how passionate I am about it.
And that fantastic piece leads us to Check Me Out, our weekly showcase for Nigerians achieving amazing things around the world. Silas Adekunle has always wanted to make robotics more exciting. Today, he has created the world's first intelligent gaming robot and has also been listed as one of the world's most revolutionary engineers. Let's check him out.
Failure is a natural part of the journey. If you're not failing, you're not trying anything new. My name is Silas Adekunle. I'm a robotics engineer, a robotics entrepreneur. Check me out. I was born in Ibadan, and then we moved to Osun State. And growing up, you know, the things I loved was wildlife, which we have an abundance of in Nigeria. My mom was a medical nurse, and you know, UK had this outreach program where they were, you know, they had a shortage of nurses and inviting nurses and these types of programs. So, you know, that my mom traveled. We were home with my dad, and then eventually we all went over to go and join her. We all went there. I think we arrived in January. That's winter. It was cold. I remember very well, like growing up and, you know, going to school, and someone's like, "Oh, do you have a cow? Do you ride a cow? You know, do you live in huts?" And I'm just like, "What videos are you guys watching? Where are you getting all these stories from? Like Nigeria's, you have cities. You know, what are you thinking?" We grew up going to church and dancing and things like that. That's part of your culture. Over there, things are a lot more calm, toned down. You can't just turn up at someone's house. You have to ring ahead of time. You can't just play in the streets. You know, so a few different things. So you look at all of the positives and you see some of the negatives. I went to university to study robotics, and I was also a big gamer, so I love gaming. So the things that we were learning about robots, I was thinking, well, this thing is perfect to teach maths and sciences, and it's a lot more exciting than all of the boring stuff that we've been learning. So why don't we use robotics to teach these fundamental principles? And then the thing I did differently was, okay, sometimes robotics can be boring. Well, why don't we add gaming as a layer on top of that? So you're not just building a robot, you're building a video game character that can then, you know, like Mortal Kombat or something that can battle each other, things like that. And then I saw that idea picked up in the classroom. The students were a lot more interested, things like that. Kids that would normally bully each other, argue, they were a lot more interested. Then I looked around at the toy industry. You know, at the time, it was like, you buy a robot, it's not really a robot. It's not like something that you see in a movie. It's just this thing that just goes, you know, it's very basic. Why can't we take this idea and use it in the toy industry and change the type of toys that people see? Why can't you see something in a movie and say, I want to create that and actually bring it to life? You know, so that was the start of the 6-year journey to then create a company called Reach Robotics. And over the life of the company, you know, raised north of $15 million, was generating millions of revenue. We had a distribution deal with Apple, which is one of the biggest consumer electronics company in the world. Personally, in terms of the journey, that also allowed me to think, look, anything you set your mind to, you can create, you can bring to life. And that was the foundation for, well, you know, why don't we do this on a bigger scale? Why don't we start looking at how we can get robotics onto the African continent, enable robotics on the African continent, which is what I'm now involved in. My name is Silas Adekunle. I'm a robotics entrepreneur, a robotics engineer, and you've just checked me out.
One of the many Nigerians making us proud. Let's now take a quick reminder of our top story today. The Internet Falsehood and Manipulation Bill passes second reading. Conversations remain divided as Nigerians continue to speak out against the bill.
How can it be war on free speech? If there is no free speech, will I be where I am today? I will not be. But there should be free speech whereby I will tell you and disseminate what is true. Why would I want to give you a fake information, a fake news, and then cause disharmony?
Let's do this again next week as we'll be checking out Lisa Sumonu, the entrepreneur keen on reforming education in Nigeria and making it accessible for all. that has been our package today on the program. Do keep in touch with us on Twitter at Gist Nigeria TV. You can also get more updates from bbc.com/Africa and channelstv.com. Thanks a lot for staying with us. I am Wale Fakile. Goodbye.